Hey there, it's Tom Pace here, downtown Shreveport again in front of the Caddo Registrar of Voters office, 525 Marshall Street. You can see it right across the street, and it is a 2011 early voting update from Ernie Robertson over here. And let's go over here. I see him standing outside. We'll walk over here because if one were to early vote, the issue and the point being is that this is where you would come. It's the only location where you can technically early vote, and this is what you'll see October the 8th through the 15th. And Ernie just set this out here. Ernie, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, Tom. You ready to go early vote?
Oh, sure. I mean, at this point, I guess it will show the people what it's like.
What it's like.
Okay.
We can't really do it yet, but we'll come close.
All righty, we'll do that, okay? Here we go. Wow, this is a beautiful building. I mean, look at the architecture in here, Ernie. This is really wonderful.
Yeah, this is the old Ward building. Of course, it's been renamed now. It's built in 1915. It's one of Shreveport's greatest old buildings. And Tom, we've got two important people up here on the wall. The people always ask me, who are those guys?
Well, that's my question, Ernie. Just who are those guys?
Well, the gentleman on the left is General James Wilkinson. He was actually the military governor of Louisiana right before it became a state. And then the fellow to the right is actually our first governor. He was the civilian governor of Orleans and then became the first governor of Louisiana. That's William C.C. Claiborne. That, you know, Louisiana has lots of Claiborne streets. We had a Claiborne school here in Shreveport. As a matter of fact, I went to school there, and that's who they're all named after. And so the first governor and the first military governor of Louisiana, and those pictures were actually restored. They were in a fire in New Orleans and were brought here when this building was restored in 1984.
So this is the Ward building, and it's downtown. It's right across from the Caddo Parish Courthouse, and it's 525 Marshall.
525 Marshall. We've had a lot of famous people that actually had offices in this building, and one of them in particular was N.B. Karstafen, and he was actually not only an attorney, but he was president of the Caddo Parish Board of Election Supervisors back in the 1940s and 50s. He had an office here, and E.C. Prudhomme, who was a nationally known jewelry engraver, especially guns, he had an office here in this building, and so did L.S. Hooper, who was an antiques document dealer who was nationally known. They'll all have had offices here in the old Ward building.
Well, it sounds like a historic landmark, or it should be.
It really is. It's a great building, and I think it's time to go vote.
Let me do it because I'm been busy here the past few days getting ready for the political season.
Well, one thing I always tell voters is make sure you check the voter board, because this board will be up here during early voting, and it not only tells you who's going to be on the ballot and what's going to be on the ballot, it also has candidate withdrawals, which you see Charlie is putting up a couple of the candidate withdrawals because we've had quite a few for this type of an election. But people should always check this board before they go to vote.
So now I see here's the candidate withdrawals. It tells you who it is, and it also the candidates can't electioneer inside, right?
That's right. Can be here within 600 feet of the building. That's true throughout Louisiana. So it's really important for us. We put those signs up basically all around downtown to let candidates know can't electioneer here during the time we're doing early voting.
Well, okay, it says early voting, and Ernie invited me in, so let's go in here. And it's time to vote early. Ernie,
This old ballot box, you want to vote on this one?
Wait a minute. This isn't what we vote on, is it?
No, this is from the 1940s, and this is an old ballot can that was used here in Caddo. And of course, Caddo got its own voting machines in 1950, voted the money for it, bought their own machines, and that's what we've been using, of course, our electronic machines since then. But this is an old ballot box that's part of Caddo's history that we saved back with the registrar's office. You know, Tom, to get ready for early voting, it takes a lot of behind-the-scenes work, and the first thing we've got to do is the list is actually printed in Baton Rouge of all the voters, and then it's sent up here. So the first thing we got to do is what we call packing the books.
Packing the books.
Packing the books, and people are used to seeing the precinct register at the polls. This is what you sign, but what you don't realize is there may be hundreds of pages in that book that we've got to pack in there. We've got to make sure that every page is in there that's in order, it's for that precinct, and it's also sent to the correct precinct. We don't want a book going to the wrong precinct because we know then we've at least got one precinct out of line. So we have to go through first, and that's a day-long process for a couple of our folks to go through and check nearly 10,000 pages to get them into all the precinct registers, and there are over 300 precinct registers that we deal with.
My gosh, 10,000 pages, and just considering that you've got, 19, 20 folks per page, all of a sudden that gets down to what you were talking about, the number of registered voters in the parish.
That's right. That's where that 162,000 comes up, and you divide that by 20, and then you're always going to have some extra pages there because that's required for people to sign in the back sometimes whenever we don't find them on the list right off, or they're a late rolling over voter for us. So that's a lot of what's involved in this. But another thing that's involved is mailing out all of the ballots. Now, once we finish this process, we have to go through and mark out anybody that's a felon that came in on a late report. We got 400 folks that we'll be marking out of the books this time while we're preparing to mail out at least 1,800 ballots this time. Now, that's not by any means any record for us because we've done as many as 3,800 ballots, but 1,800 ballots that will be mailed to our homebound voters, and so they get a ballot during the time we're doing early voting down here. That's part of what we're doing too.
And when you say homebound, you're talking mainly about seniors, I guess.
Right, it's mainly seniors, 65 and above. We do have some handicapped voters who are also receiving ballots, and so we got to get all that done at the same time, and it's got to be done in a timely fashion because they have to have enough time to get the ballot back to us so they can be counted on election night.
So here it is. It's early voting, and it's actually going to be October the 8th through the 15th, correct?
That's right. October the 8th through the 15th is going to be early voting right here at this office, 525 Marshall, across from the courthouse, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, another thing, Tom, is not everybody gets to vote on the same thing.
No.
Yeah, that's one of those things that it's obvious, but a lot of times folks don't think about it. Everybody's going to vote on the statewides, and everybody will vote for sheriff, and everybody will vote for assessor, and everybody's going to vote on all the propositions. But when it comes to state senator, they're all challenged in Caddo, but they're in different districts. And state representatives, not all of them are challenged, but 4 of them are, but they're all districts. Parish commissioners the same way. So not everybody votes on the same thing. So we got to make sure they're getting the right ballot, and that's called a ballot style. And this time, there are 38 ballot styles in Caddo.
Okay, Ernie, so this is the absentee area. I remember we talked about that, but this is actually where they're doing the ballot styles?
Right. These are the paper ballots that are actually mailed to people out wherever we're mailing ballots, whether it's all over the world or locally. And they're different styles. In other words, if you're in Broadmoor, you get a different ballot style than the folks in North Caddo because you have different candidates you're voting for. It's the same way on the machines. Whenever you go to a machine, that card that we're going to give you that's programmed for you is programmed for your precinct with the ballot styles for that particular precinct. Even if it's a split precinct, we're able to program it where you vote only on the things you should vote on. As a matter of fact, if you have your ID, we can go early vote. Or at least we'll act like we're early voting.
Wait a minute. I've got my ID. Always carry it. Don't leave home without it. And
you have an ID.
And I do have an ID.
Well, then we're ready to go.
All right. Let's do it now. My gosh, I'm ready to vote. Ernie, you said I can vote early, or what it would be like if I were voting early.
And Ted's going to check you in right now. Here.
All right. Well, let me do this. Let me do this thing. All right now.
Hello, sir. Can I see your ID, please?
All right, hold on a minute. There you go.
Thank you, sir.
So now he's got my ID, and now he's looking on his computer screen, and we want to make sure that I'm where I say I am as far as residence goes, and so he's made a few mouse clicks here, and we're looking up me in his database. As
Mr. Pace, you still live on Monrovia?
right, that's right.
Sir, thank you. All right, sir. Here's your ID back.
Okay, Ted. So really, Ted, this is a pretty simple process, right?
Yes, sir. It doesn't take but about a minute or so, and you get you on your way.
Now, what's happening now?
I'm going to place this label on the book here. And then instead of signing the old precinct register like you do when you go to the precinct to vote, we just get your signature right here next to your name on this label.
Okay, so there it is. I got my name there. Now, do I get anything else?
Yes, sir. You get this little plastic card. You're going to take it over to the voting machine. There's going to be some folks over here to help you. Just hand it to one of them, and they'll show you what you do next.
Says voter card. If you look at that, that's pretty official. If you look at it, and it says State of Louisiana voter card, and you have to return it back now. You can't keep
sir,
it.
Please. They cost $25 a piece, so please.
Don't forget that. All right, now we're back in the prep area. If you remember from our previous video that we showed, they were getting ready and they were counting everything. Now it looks like they're getting ready to mail out stuff.
Right, this is where we actually do the mail-outs, and we'll do at least 1,800 mail-outs this time, or a lot more by the time we get the final number in of everybody requests. But this is where we do that work. And Tom, one of the things we're having to do this time is also send information about all the candidate withdrawals.
Now wait a minute. Before we get into that, I want to know about the people that are actually over this entire operation. Isn't there a whole nother group?
Right, it's the Board of Election Supervisors. Every parish has their own Board of Election Supervisors, and there are 5 people on that board. There's Al Hennigan and Lillian Priest representing the Democratic Party, Creighton Light representing the Republican Party, the Clerk of Court, Gary Lofton, and then me as the Registrar of Voters. And one of the things we do is we seal all the early voting machines. We make sure they all have had a zero tape checked on them, make sure there are no votes on them. We do what's called a LAT test, which is logic and accuracy test. That's done on the machines after the update from the Secretary of State's folks. And we will prep that just about 3 days this time before early voting starts, and then everything's ready to go, and that's done in the other part of the office where you were near Ted's desk, up on that end of the office, and that's where people actually be early voting.
So now we've gone through this whole process. The big thing is sealing the machines, is it not?
Right. We've got to go in, and every parish is going to seal their machines. So we'll put them back to zero. We'll do all the testing on them. We'll make sure that they actually are voting the way they're supposed to vote. There's a logic and accuracy test you go through. Once we've checked that, then the machines are actually sealed. All the tapes that go with each machine are signed by the board. And one good thing that voters need to remember is that even if the electricity goes out, there are actually 3 memories in every machine. So you're still able to maintain all the votes that are on there and still able to vote because they're battery operated too.
You know, it's the talk of the town, and most importantly, this is your fall 2011 early voting election update for Caddo Parish, and Ernie Robertson, the Caddo Parish Registrar of Voters. And Ernie, CaddoVoter.org cannot be overemphasized.
Right. It's just a place where all the information is for voters, and that's the point of it, is so people can get as much information as they can before they go to vote. And one of the things we're having to do this time on the mail-outs, and we'll also have signs here in the office, is notify everybody of all the candidate withdrawals.
Well, what happens whenever they do that? I see her over here, and is there something that goes along with the ballot?
Right. For the mail-out folks, they're actually going to receive a notice of withdrawal for any candidate that might be in their area. And of course, we had a statewide withdrawal with Joseph Cowell, who was running for Attorney General, and he's dropped out. So any votes for him will not count. We've had one in a state Senate race here in Caddo. We had a sheriff candidate drop out, as well as a Caddo Commission candidate drop out. And in some cases, if they did it early enough, their name's not on the ballot. But in the case of Joseph Cowell, his name will still be on the ballot, but votes cast for him will not be counted. Same with the state Senate candidate down in Senate 38.
So the bottom line is, even if you vote for him on that particular vote, it will not count.
Right, and we need to look at the board. Remember last time we were here, we had the board up as to who was running for what or who could run, and now we've got it set and ready to go.
It's changed, actually, since the last time we talked. Go ahead, sir. As you look at it, it says Caddo Parish, October 22nd primary. Office titles, the actual people that they will be voting for, Ernie.
First of all, we've got governor. You will be able to vote for governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state. Of course, the attorney general race is only one candidate now, so he's elected. The treasurer's race was not contested. Commissioner of Agriculture will be on your ballot, Commissioner of Insurance. Now, all of that's going to be on your ballot, plus we have some proposition elections, and they'll be on there. All the state senators in Caddo are challenged, and 4 of the 7 state representatives are challenged. The sheriff is challenged, and everybody votes on the sheriff's race. Everybody votes for the assessor. That's challenged. And then parish commissioners, about half the parish commissioners are challenged, so you may or may not see that race on your ballot. And then the special elections, we have candidates for a Shreveport City judge, but not everybody votes on that. The special election in School Board District 3, but again, not everybody votes on that. And Justice of the Peace in Ward 3, which is only in that ward up north of Shreveport.
So now you see all the things that will be on your ballot, and you will get a certain special ballot. That's whenever you...
ballot style. That's
the
what
ballot
we've been
style.
talking about, that ballot style. And if you come to early vote, it's actually programmed into the card based on whenever you check in what your precinct is. And so that ballot style is put on the card so that when you put it in the machine, it pulls up just the ballot style that you're qualified to vote on.
And we want to remember one other thing, caddovoter.org, because if you have a question, maybe you're not voting early, but you want to know where do I vote, when, the whole 9 yards, on your website?
Right. It's right there, caddovoter.org. I encourage everybody, always check where do I vote or am I registered before you go to vote to make sure that you're going to where you think you ought to be voting and that you are actually registered to vote, because sometimes people just forget that they move from one parish to another and they may have to go back to the other parish to vote, or they may have some problem in voting. That's how you find out, caddovoter.org.
Remember the website. And also, if you just say, I really want to talk to a live person, they can call you during office hours.
Sure. 226-6891, 226-6891. Give us a call. And I hope everybody that wants to come early vote comes to early vote with us starting October 8th through 15th.
And they'll be closed on Sunday, but it's 8:30 till 6 in the evening.
6 each day, 8:30 to 6.
Tom Pace, Talk of the Town with Caddo Parish Registrar of Voters, Ernie Robertson. Fall election 2011 early voting update.